Hello, this is lesson 5.2. It's extension, so it's different than just regular 5.2. It's the extension and it's graphing proportional relationships. So you need this handout and you can always download it from my PowerSchool website if you don't have one. And you probably should also have a ruler or a straight edge, something that can help you draw straight lines. And then when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so now let's take a look at the upper left box where it says graphs that show a proportional relationship. So when you're looking at a coordinate plane, which a coordinate plane looks like this, and you're trying to see if the graph shows a proportional relationship, two things must happen. The points will form a straight line, and the line is going to go right through the origin or 0, 0. So this here, this point right here, this is the ordered pair 0, 0. So please pause the video so that you can copy what you see on your screen down in your paper, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. So let me give you an example of what a proportional relationship on a graph looks like. Okay, so what I want you to do is using a ruler or a straight edge, you could even use an index card or your ID card. I want you to recreate this graph and try to make it super straight. And I put 2 points on here. I put this point here, which is 4, 5. And then I put this point here, which is 8, 10. Okay, and then I connected them with a straight line, and always put an arrow at the end because these proportional relationships go on forever. They're never ending. So you put that arrow showing that you know it doesn't just stop here, it goes on forever. So please go ahead and do that now. And then when you're ready to continue, press play. So please pause now. So you might have a table where you have to show whether it forms a proportional relationship, and then it'll sometimes say to explain how you know. And it wants us to use the graph. So it'll tell here like what the x coordinate is and the y coordinate is. So it's 2, 4. So at 2, 4, that means you're going to go to the right 2 and then up 4, and we're going to place a dot there. Okay, up 2 to the right 4. I'm going to use red, 2, 4. Okay, there's our dot. And then 4, 6, you're going to go to the right 4, and then you're going to go up 6, okay? And then we're going to put a dot at 4, 6, right there. And then 6, 8, go to the right 6, up 8, put our dot there. And then 8, 10, we go to the right 8, and then you're going to go up 10 spaces. Okay, and notice that they all form a straight line, but that line is not going to go through the origin. So with your straight edge, I want you to connect the dots all the way, make them straight with a straight edge or a ruler, and you'll notice that it's going to hit here 0, 2. So then when it says to explain how you know, what we're going to say is that it does not go through the origin. So make sure to write that as your explanation on the side. And please pause the video so that you can write it down. And when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at problem number 2, and we're going to graph these. Now notice the first ordered pair says 1.5, 1. So 1.5 is going to be in between 1 and 2. So here's 1.5. And then we're going to go up 1, and we're going to place a dot there. So I'm going to use my red pen. And then 3, 2, you go to the right 3 spaces and then up 2. And then 6, 4, you go to the right 6, up 4. And then 9, 6, we go to the right 9 and then up 6. Okay, so now here, we're going to connect the dots with our straight edge. And when you connect them, you'll see that this line will go through the origin, okay? It's straight, it's a straight line, it does go through the origin. So when we explain how we know based on the graph, we have to say both things. It's a straight line going through the origin. So go ahead and write that explanation next to the graph. Pause the video so you can do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so we're on the bottom left where it talks about it says equation for proportional relationships. So all proportional relationships have the same setup on their equations, and it looks like this. It's going to say y equals kx. Now k is always going to be a number. It could be like a regular number like 5, it could be a fraction like 1/2, even a decimal like 0.25. The y will always be y equals, and the x will always be here. So the only thing that'll change is this k. It'll be a number. Okay, now K is the unit rate. All right, so the unit rate is, we're going to find that out by looking at our graphs. And sometimes they call the unit rate the constant of proportionality. Now, I'm going to pause. I want you to pause here so that you can write the code word. The code word, we're going to just put a star next to the constant of proportionality right here. So draw your best star, okay, and circle it. All right. Now don't forget to do that so that I know you're listening. Okay, now let's look at problem 3. It says write the equation for the graph. And on this graph, it's a family road trip. Okay, and then our x-axis, it's labeled for us x here. It's the number of hours. And our y-axis, it's labeled here y. That's the number of miles. And I'm going to label it again with my red pen so it kind of stands out. So the number of hours is your x. The number of miles traveled is your y. Okay, now when we want to find the unit rate, all we have to do is take any point that's on the line. And I always like to look to see if on the x-axis, if there's a 1 there. And there is. There's a 1. And if I look straight up, it hits the line at an exact point. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that 1. Everybody do that. Circle that 1. Okay, and then bring it straight up and look across, and there's your y. It's 60. Okay, remember, the unit rate on proportional relationships is going to be y over x. Okay? We learned that in the previous lesson. So here, this y is going to be 60 over, and the x number is 1, 60 over 1, which is 60 miles per hour, 60 mph. Okay, we got to label our unit rate. All right, 60 miles per hour. Now, the equation then for this line is going to be y equals, okay, remember it's kx, where our k is 60. So y equals 60x. Okay, we're going to box that equation, y equals 60x. So that means like I can figure out how many miles were traveled after any given number of hours. See, x is my hours. So let's say I wanted to figure out after 8 hours. 8 hours is going to be 60 times 8. That's 480. And if you look at this graph, 8 will go straight up here. 480 will be somewhere right here. It's going to be right about here. Okay, that's going to be in line with that. If that stretch that line out, it's going to hit that dot. Okay, after 10 hours, the number of miles traveled would be 60 times 10. That's 600 miles. So after 10 hours, they traveled 600 miles. So that's how you would use that. Now we're on the lower right corner of the paper, and we're going to write equations for these graphs. And these are all proportion relationships. You'll notice that on this one here, it talks about money. And on the x-axis, let's go ahead and label this the x-axis. That's the number of weeks. On the y-axis is the total savings. So this is the y. So we're going to figure out the unit rate is how much money is in the savings per week. How much money per week. So if you look, there's no 1 on the x-axis. Okay, it just goes from 0 to 2. If I go up 2, I can see that it's going to hit an exact number. So I'm going to use 2 and as my x coordinate, and if I look straight up and then look across, that's my y coordinate, which is 94. So I'm going to use those numbers to figure out the unit rate. Remember, it's going to be the y coordinate over the x coordinate. So I'm going to have 94 over 2. Okay, 94 over 2. And then you can simplify that, and that's going to be 47. And so that's $47, let's abbreviate dollars, per week. Okay, that's how much savings each week. Okay, So $47 per week. So now my equation is going to be y equals, and then that 47 is going to be my unit rate. So put 47 and then put x. And I'm going to box my equation. So what that means is now that I know the unit rate, I can figure out the total savings after any number of weeks. If I test it out, if I use 10 weeks, I put 10 into here, that's 47 times 10, so it's $470 savings. If you look at the graph, look, here's 10 weeks, look straight up and look across, that's $470 savings. So this is the correct equation. Now let's take a look at problem 5. On problem 5, we have the number of downloads on the y-axis. This is the y, and then the number of websites on the x. So let's go ahead and put here an x. This is always the x-axis. This is always the y up here. Okay, label those. And to find our unit rate, again, we're going to put y over x. Let's write y over x. And they give us 3 dots. So I'll just use the smaller numbers because it's easier to work with small numbers. We have 12 here. If you go straight up, that's my x. And you go across, there's your y. So it's not 12 over 4, which a lot of kids will want to do because 12 is bigger. It's going to be 4 over 12, okay? And some kids will try to put that in their calculator and they'll see that it's a repeating number. You can just leave it as a fraction. So I'm going to leave this, simplify it though, 1/3. Okay, and then it's downloads per visit. So I'll just put DL per visit. Okay, so that's my unit rate. 1/3 of a download per web visit. So now my equation is going to be y equals 1/3 x. Okay, and let's go ahead and box our equation. And that's all for your video notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.